Welcome back to Daily Dose of Devotional. Today, we're turning back into the New Testament to the Gospel of Luke, chapter 16. As we open the pages of Luke 16, we encounter a parable that can be a bit perplexing at first, the parable of the unjust steward. In this story, Jesus uses the actions of a dishonest manager to teach profound lessons about wealth, stewardship, and wisdom. The parable begins with a wealthy man discovering that his steward has been wasteful with his possessions. The wealthy man summoned the steward for an account of his actions. Faced with the impending loss of his position, the steward hatches a shrewd plan to secure his future. Instead of responding to the impending dismissal with panic or despair, the steward acts cunningly. He approaches each one of his master's debtors and reduces the amount they owe, gaining favor with them in the hope of finding future hospitality. When the master learned of the steward's actions, he was oddly impressed, not with the steward's dishonesty, but with his shrewdness. The master commended the steward for his foresight in securing his future. Surprisingly, Jesus doesn't condemn the steward's actions outright. Instead, he uses this worldly example to make a spiritual point. Jesus acknowledges the shrewdness of the steward in dealing with temporal matters, contrasting it with the often limited wisdom of those focused solely on the world's riches. Verse 8 to 13. The master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourselves, so that when it is gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you a property of your own? No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the other and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Jesus concludes the parable with a powerful statement, emphasizing the importance of being faithful with worldly wealth. He encourages his disciples to use their resources wisely, recognizing that true riches are found in spiritual matters and eternal relationships. Verse 15, he said to them, "You are the ones who justify yourselves in the eyes of others, but God knows your hearts. What people value highly is detestable in God's sight." So, how does this parable resonate with us today? It challenges us to examine our hearts and priorities regarding wealth. It encourages us to use our resources in ways that align with God's kingdom values and to be wise stewards in our dealings with the temporary riches of this world. The parable of the unjust steward challenges us to reflect on our attitudes toward wealth and stewardship. It prompts us to consider how we use our resources, urging us to be wise and faithful in both worldly and spiritual matters. As we close the pages of Luke 16, may the parable of the unjust steward inspire us to be thoughtful stewards of all that God has entrusted to us. Thank you for joining me for today's devotional. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until tomorrow, take care and God bless.